When Sama wakes up, he found himself in a world of shit. He was naked, bleeding from his head. He was confused, and using a broomstick, Miriam was able to tie Sama's arms outwards. He basically looked like Jesus, sitting in a chair. A shotgun was pointed directly at his head. She had it set up and tricked and maneuvered, and a string was tied to the trigger, and the other was tied into a hole in his lip that she had given him.
Hi guys, welcome back to the BTWBJ podcast.
Guess what, motherfucker?
Some of the information you are about to hear, some may find disturbing.
I don't know who gave them this or who gave them the clearance. On the crotch.
Oh my
Right
lord.
there.
Can we Google that?
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then I fucking stumbled down a dark hole, and I love it.
Great cake parties. You know, if I'm going to believe anybody's bullshit, I'm going to believe mine.
It sounds not politically correct, but
You two motherfuckers need Jesus.
what's going on, all you sexy motherfuckers? Hope everyone's doing good. Keeping those boners nice and tight, nice and big. Listen.
If you're lucky to still have one.
That's true. That's very true. Listen, this is episode 49, okay? We are at the peak of the hill. Okay, we are almost there. Pretty soon our fat asses
5-0.
are rolling right down that 5-0 hill. So with that being said, I think we should do something special for our 50th.
Okay, what is that?
Let's go live.
Really?
Let's go live. Let's do
And how
it
do you
big.
propose we do that?
Well, we were just on the Angel Rock radio show. If you guys want to go check them out, they're on Facebook and Instagram. I did put it on our Instagram page. Please go check them out. But the way that they were able to broadcast, the four, Lorelai, Dell, yourself, and me, I think we should do that. And it's cool because then we can interact with everybody from Facebook, from YouTube, and even Twitch. But I think
All right, we'll try it out.
I think we
If
should go
not
live.
50, let's get some more practice under our belt. Maybe some more equipment. That I wouldn't mind.
Nah, let's just go live.
Yeah, we'll see.
That'd be fun.
We'll play that by ear, pal.
Well, listen, this story, for everyone listening, for everybody watching, this is a story that is out of this world, kind of. Like it's very unbelievable until you actually read the article. And it's all real. It's 100% real.
Yeah, and this is a good example about podcasting. It doesn't necessarily have to be paranormal. We like to joke a lot. We like to drink. We like to have interaction with people about true crime and paranormal. Well, this is an actual story that Bo came across, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you guys have any recommendations just like this, God, send them in. They don't have to be scary stories. They don't have to be true crime. They don't have to be anything. It could be it could be something that happened within the last 5 years, just like this one.
Yeah, and
So-
this one, I mean, technically, in a way, this one is somewhat of a true crime story. But I'd say it's a true badass story.
It's a story of, it's a great Mother's Day story.
Very true. It is. Yeah. Mother's Day is right around the corner, as well as the Cinco De Mayo. You know what I'm saying?
Empowering story.
Well, listen, this is a very cool story. I really hope everybody enjoys it. I hope everybody likes it. As mentioned in the actual podcast episode, you asked me where I found it. And like I find most of everything nowadays, TikTok. As ridiculous as that fucking app is, this shit is off the hook. It's a crazy true story that I didn't think was actually real.
Well, that's it. It's a true story. It's not necessarily a true crime. It's a true story.
Right, exactly. Before we get started, though, I have some information for everybody. Please go over to our Flow page. That's flow.page/BTWBJ. There you will find all of our links. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Buy us a beer. You buy us a beer, we shout you out on the very next episode. Hell, we even have stickers now, so we can send those out. And if you're wondering what the top of this design is, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got the new Botox with Big Jim t-shirts. These are going to be going live, okay? These are going out. We have made these. These are available for purchase, and I will be linking the website in the show notes of this episode.
And to tell you cheap bastards that it costs less to buy a t-shirt than it is to go to your local McDonald's drive-through is an understatement.
Very true.
Fast food is more expensive than a shirt
Very, very true.
nowadays. So
That's very true.
show some support. Show
We
some
have 'em.
support.
We have them. You can get them. And guess what? You want to know something cool? You can go all the way up to 5X. You can stretch these motherfuckers out good, and they are comfy. Let me tell you something. They are comfy. But it's not only t-shirts. We have a wide variety of other items that are on this website that you can find our design on. So please go check them out. That will be on Redbubble. Like I said, I will be linking this below, and you can find stickers. You can find active t-shirts, like dry fit t-shirts, a drawstring backpack, magnets, travel mugs, so many different things. So please go check that out. I will also be including this in our flow page.
How about a beer bong? Maybe.
We should do that.
Maybe. Camping season is upon us.
We can make the tube the boner part. Oh, and it curves to the right. Oh, getting a lot of white foam in everybody's mouth. Y'all some nasty motherfuckers. Y'all motherfuckers need Jesus.
We are.
So listen, I hope everybody enjoys this. In the actual episode, I forgot to mention, so I'll mention it here. There's an individual who gets captured. That individual, as far as I know, according to the report, which is also in the show notes, he is still under custody. If you find anything different, please let me know. But this guy dropped a dime on many, many people, and I would be very surprised if he's alive right now. So
he probably is.
He's probably 6 feet under. You know what I'm saying? He's probably, sleeping with the fishes. Well, that's the Italian mob, but listen, revenge is a dish better served cold. So please, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy episode 49, which, by the way, I fucked up the last one. I kept saying 47. Enjoy episode 49, the story of Miriam Rodriguez.
She's a badass mama.
This story involves a mother, her daughter, 10 men, and the cartel.
Mexican cartel. Okay. Let's do it. I'm interested.
Here we go. January 23rd, 2012. Karen Alejandra Salinas Rodriguez was leaving her mother's clothing store, Rodeo Boots, in San Fernando, Mexico. Miriam Rodriguez, who was 53 at the time, was the mother of 3 and was working as a live-in nanny in Texas. She had 2 daughters, Karen, another daughter, Azelia, and one son, Luis Jr., and her husband, another 4th name, Luis Hector Salinas Castillo. Now, according to all the family, Miriam was a short firecracker. She had a foul mouth. Actually, she kind of reminded me of Grandma, especially some of the pictures that I found of her. For any of you who know who Grandma Mary is, this is pretty much that woman. Uncensored. Very uncensored. Well, on that day of January 23rd, Karen was coming home and she would end up being kidnapped. She was last seen driving a Ford fucking Ranger while driving into traffic and merging.
Time out. Where does that saying come from?
Oh, that's TikTok.
The Ford Ranger.
Bet you ain't drove a Ford fucking Ranger. I have no idea. I just heard the guy say it.
Okay, I have driven a Ford Ranger for a while.
A Ford fucking Ranger, sir. Ford
All
Ranger.
Right. Back to the cartel story.
2 pickup trucks pull up next to Karen. Men with face coverings and Armalite rifles, or better known as AR-15s, jumped out of their trucks and forced Karen to pull over while pulling her truck to the side. Basically forced her over to the side of the road.
Okay.
The individuals jumped in her truck and drove off with her in it. So now there's 3 pickup trucks, 2 of the cartel, 1 of Karen's. And to kind of give you a picture of how San Fernando was operating back in 2012, there was basically no man's land. There was a huge rival between 2 cartels, the Los Zeta Cartel and the Gulf Cartel. It was such a dangerous place in 2012 that a mass grave was discovered with over 72 people inside of it. 58 of them were men and 14 of them were women. The kidnappers drove Karen to her home, which was back, like I said, in San Fernando, Mexico. They bound and gagged her on the floor while the kidnappers planned their next move. A family friend who was also a mechanic came in to Karen's house to fix her uncle's car. Now, unknowingly, he stumbled into a shit show. Dude was surrounded by 6 guys, all with Armalite rifles, and Karen is now bound and gagged, hogtied on the floor. Kidnappers took the mechanic, but eventually let him go as he had no relevance to Karen or knew of anything that was really going to happen. So they said, you know what, screw it. Let's get him out of here. He's not going to do anything with us. Now, if you're wondering which cartel actually took Karen, that is the Los Zeta Cartel. Miriam, the mother, and the family kept up high hopes for Karen's return. Multiple times, ransoms were demanded and ransoms were met. Luis Sr. followed the ransom one particular time to a T. He pulled over $2,000 in cash from a bank, which, by the way, this bank in particular gave out loans for situations like this.
For ransom.
Went to the bank, pulled out $2,000 cash in a duffel bag, placed it near a health clinic in San Fernando. The money was then picked up by a cartel member, and seconds turned to minutes, minutes turned to hours, hours turned to months, and Karen was still never seen. Now, also keep in mind, they meaning the cartel, would continuously kind of have them like a fish on a hook. They tell them, well, give us this money, you'll see her. Give us this money, you'll see her. Meet us over here, you'll see her. They'd send photos of Karen to Miriam. So many different things to really just try to get as much money as possible. Now, I'm also not curious, but if those who are curious are wondering why $2,000 in cash, well, $2,000 in cash in Mexico in 2012 was quite a few amount of dollars to the US dollar here.
Pesos,
yeah. 2 years go by. Remember, this whole incident started in January of 2012. It's now 2014 of August. Still no signs of Karen. They keep saying, well, keep paying us, keep doing this, you'll see her. Finally, the family was able to march and take to the streets to find Karen. They went actually all the way down to Mexico City and asked for the government's help. However, the government did not want to help them. They kind of wanted just to stay out of the cartel's hands, or not hands, but their pockets, so to speak, because they don't want the negative activity coming back on the government, which many people already think that the government's already associated with the cartel anyways.
I'm sure they are.
See, look. So after not getting
it's a fact.
It's shown before. After weeks of asking for help and trying to get the cartel to give Karen back, Miriam did something that nobody thought of. She actually was able to get a hold of one of the members of the cartel. She said,
scary.
Very scary. But she asked, please, I would like to have a meeting with someone or a leader to see where my daughter is. And to her surprise, they said yes.
All right.
They ended up meeting a few days later at a restaurant called El Junior. The man who was leading the pack of 9 men was a very short hair, young, slender, clean shaven, who looked no older than 16 or 17. Crazy.
Who was it?
Well, during their conversation, Miriam could overhear on a radio on his belt, because that's how a lot of the cartel operate. They either operate with cell phones or radio, shortwave radios to get a hold of other members.
Yeah,
But
it's
before we
private
go any
chat.
further, can you imagine sitting face to face with the guy who's took your kid, your son, your daughter, your nephew, whoever, your mom, anyone that you know? Can you imagine sitting face to face with that person?
No.
Me either. I'd
No.
lose my shit though. I'll tell you that much. I for sure emotions would overcome me. You mentioned what the person looked like or what his name was. Excuse me. So while they're sitting there and while the radio is going off, because this guy was a narcissist, he is a kid, but he's very much a narcissist. He's walking around, especially in Mexico. They got the bedazzled shirts, they got the big belt buckles, they got the alligator skin or elephant skin boots. So they're stunting, they're flashing, so they're real cocky, especially when they got a bunch of guys around them controlling everything.
Sure.
Well, what he wasn't paying attention to was his radio. So as they're talking, she's asking questions, saying this, saying that. Where's my daughter? When can we see her? She overhears the radio chatter, and while discussing terms and conditions, basically to get her daughter back, Miriam overhears the name Sama. She overhears it. So now it's, especially a mom, I don't give a shit what anybody says. Women are like pregnant elephants. They have memories that can last for years and years. Like they'll remember anything that you did 19 years ago as if it happened yesterday. So she remembers this man's name. Now keep in mind, kidnappings can affect everyone in a family very, 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 very differently. When a child is abducted, the incredibly severe of stress is then added to the past stresses, meaning if you have bills, if you have a car that was stolen, if you have life in general, and then adding all of this to it, some typical pre-stressors might include the domestic violence, separation, divorce. I'm sorry, this is what can happen after a person being kidnapped. Domestic violence, separation, divorce, child abuse, neglect, suicide, loss of a job, or housing and financial insecurities. And if anyone's wondering, that was all taken from the childabductiontaskforce.com.
It's a shame that even has to exist.
It is. It's a shame that most things like that have to exist,
Mm-hmm.
After countless ransoms were paid but never met with Karen, Luis Sr. separated from Miriam. Now, as I mentioned, separation does happen between the families. Miriam then moved in with her second daughter, Azalea. Miriam, in secret, told Azalea, quote, I know she's not coming back. She's probably dead by now. Azalea went on to say that on that day, her mother was gone and someone else evolved from Miriam. Sadness turned from sorrow to determination. Hope turned into rage, and Miriam vowed that night to hunt down any person involved in Karen's kidnapping.
You blame her?
No, hell no, I don't blame her. Now keep in mind, this is 2012 and 2014. So the social media, right? The social media back then was at a huge boner peak, right? It was at the very, very tippity top. 2012.
What do you mean?
Social
It
media.
wasn't as advanced. I know, but it was just the transition of barely getting into Instagram.
But it was just coming up and everybody was
Yeah.
getting onto it. Even
Yeah,
MySpace wasn't even as big as, Facebook, Instagram, and all these other things that were popping up. Hell, even Snapchat. Snapchat came out about 2010, 2011. So 2012, Snapchat was at its peak, its prime. Now, after finding out that the mechanic survived the kidnappings, Miriam was able to pick his brain. Also, keep in mind, she not intimidated. She, what's the word I'm looking for? Interrogated. So, see, I know words, people. She interrogated many, many people, including the mechanic who saw Miriam with the kidnappers. What she was able to get from the mechanic was that there was Sama, who she already had, two other men who had some facial characteristics. Thank you. I don't know why I can't say the word. Miriam picked his brain like the two chubby Mexican dudes picking carne asada off of a plate. Basically, you and I.
Yeah.
And using Facebook more than the average Mexican American woman using WhatsApp or a long distance phone call back home, Miriam spent hours on Facebook looking for clues about Karen, specifically on her Facebook page. And then to Miriam's amazement, one day she found something very interesting. A Facebook post. In the post was a man named Sama. The same pinche cabrón who was sharing the goddamn arroz con leche with her. Puta madre.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they actually had food. They were sharing food, kind of. They had a big, the dude's over there with 9 other people. They're gonna have food there too. So they're all eating, and sure enough, there's the same guy, and it's on Karen's Facebook post. What's crazy though is that there's a young lady in that post who's not Karen. Instead, it's a young lady wearing an ice cream shop. Come to find out, after searching the internet, Miriam was able to find out that the ice cream shop in particular was over 2 hours away in a city called Ciudad Victoria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you. For weeks, Miriam sat outside of this ice cream shop. She drove 2 hours away and then sat outside of that ice cream shop for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. She sat there for so long, she knew people's work schedule, dude.
I believe it. Obsessive.
Crazy. But she was waiting for Sama or the girl to show up. Come to find out, that girl who was in that ice cream uniform happened to be Sama's girlfriend. Finally, after the 3rd week, Sama showed up to the shop. After that, after the woman's shift, the pair went to her home. Miriam was able to follow on foot the 2 individuals. The girlfriend didn't live very far. She lived about 3 blocks from where the ice cream shop was. She stayed far enough back to see where they walked, how they walked. She literally was Liam Neeson in Taken. Like, she's watching fucking which corner they take. They bump into a dude selling ice or something, she's watching everything. And then it gets to the point where she sees them walking to this particular building, and she gets the address. Miriam was able to find a brick. As they're walking up, she walks behind and strikes both of them in the back of the head, knocking the girl unconscious and leaving a gash in Sama's head. He also...
she got him.
She got him. Miriam.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Afterwards, also keep in mind, it's about 9:00 in the evening. So it's very dark. Not very many people are out. I was just making a joke about, bumping into a guy selling ice.
No, that's fine. But he got caught slipping hard.
He got caught slipping. And it's just those 2. So she knocked them both out. I mean, I feel bad for the girl. She's like, God damn it, I'm just here to suck some dick, and now I'm getting my ass knocked out. So Miriam,
About the
which,
girl. She knows about the missing girl, I'm sure.
by the way, Miriam's three years older than you are right now in this situation.
Hey, rage is a motherfucker.
Especially when it's a mother. So she literally drags both of these people one by one up these steps, right? When Sama wakes up, he found himself in a world of shit. He was naked, bleeding from his head. He was confused, and using a broomstick, Miriam was able to tie Sama's arms outwards. He basically looked like Jesus, right?
Wow.
He's sitting in a
He's
chair.
definitely compromised.
Oh, very. Sitting in a chair. His legs are tied to the legs of the actual chair itself. A shotgun was pointed directly at his head. Here's the crazy part. Miriam wasn't holding the shotgun. She had it set up and tricked and maneuvered, and a string was tied to the trigger, and the other was tied into a hole in his lip that she had given him. So she asked several questions about Karen, mainly where she was and if she was alive. When he refused to say anything, she said, okay, this will hurt. I wouldn't move if I were you. Because keep in mind, he still has that string tied to his lip. She gets a nail gun, puts it to his kneecap. Bam! Blast it. And the dude, he's trying hard not to move. Can you imagine that pain? Can you imagine that pain? I've hit my finger with a hammer. She asks him again, where is my daughter? He doesn't say. Nail gun into his other knee. Fucking, this kid's a savage. I'm sorry, but if he's not talking by just the sheer sight of a shotgun pointed at your face, I'm sorry. You're naked, tied to a chair. I would have told you my social security number. Okay. Okay. Now, he's still refusing to give up any information. And like I said, Michonne and the governor, if nobody's read the book, I highly recommend it because it's much more graphic than it is the show.
Still a great show.
Still a great show. But very much like when Michonne pretty much castrates the governor, Miriam takes the nail gun, puts her right to the head of his dick. Where's my daughter? Where is she? Is she still alive? Refusing to say anything. The Prince Albert is thick with this guy, buddy. Just to give
Did
you
he
guys a heads
say
up.
anything?
No, that was all fake.
Oh, okay.
Sounded good though, didn't it? Can you imagine if
believed
that
it.
was real? Can you imagine if that was real?
Yeah, Joey. I mean, hell, look at Lorraine Bobbitt.
True. That's very true.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that did not happen. That would have made the story so much more better. I personally like that version.
Did she not shoot him in the knees?
None of this actually happened.
All right.
She did follow them back to the apartment. She did memorize the address to give it to the police. But the police wouldn't respond to just an address. They needed more evidence. They needed something more to go off of. So in a somewhat of a dramatic measure, Miriam cut her hair and dyed it bright fire engine, almost like my shirt, fire engine red. Because don't forget, Sama knew what she looked like. He knew, and at the time,
prior to the meeting.
Right. So she had not super long hair, but it was about shoulder length hair, brunette, and didn't wear very, very much makeup. Well, she was able to dye her hair, like I said, completely red, cut it short to almost like my hair, kind of. Like it's not very long, okay, but it's long enough.
Okay.
She then used an old government uniform from the health ministry that she used to work for. This is true. This part is true. Okay. She also got the work ID from that same place and used a fake pole to get details from people around around that neighborhood to collect information about Sama.
Wow, creative.
Very creative. She got so much information, she even had photos of Sama with the other Zeta member cartels who captured Karen. Cartel members who captured Karen. Miriam was able to contact local, state, and federal law enforcement for help, but again, no one helped. But that didn't stop her. Miriam didn't take no for an answer. Asking several officers outside of asking their leadership for help, they all declined, but one. Now, this officer at the time of this story was an active officer, so he did not give his name for this interview, which,
Okay.
by the way, this whole story is on the New York Post, the whole story.
Okay.
But he was an active officer and did not want to be quoted, did not want to be identified, excuse me. But this is what the officer had to say about helping Miriam. Quote, when she pulled her files onto the table, I had never seen anything like it. Not even the highest detectives had this much information on one person. The details and information gathered by this woman, working all alone, was incredible. She had gone to every single level of government, and they all slammed the door in her face. To help her hunt down the people who took her daughter, it was the greatest privilege of my career. End quote.
Wow. Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, she encouraged him that much to risk his own life to help her.
Risk his own life, to basically risk his own fucking job, everything to help her.
To help.
And sure
Well, yeah.
enough,
Motivation right there.
it happened. He was able to convince his leadership to get a search warrant to be served for Sama. But by the time the search warrant was able to be issued, Sama had already left town. So
Did
it was
he
that
know
close.
did he know he was being under surveillance?
It didn't say, but come on.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a lot of people know. You don't have to be watching a movie or, whatever. Shit like this does happen. And there are rats. Hell, The Departed, the whole movie was a rat on a rat on a rat,
Right.
But Miriam did not stop there. Even though Sama was gone, Miriam was determined to find the other members. She took so many photos from Facebook. She screenshotted, she downloaded everything. And on September 23rd, 2014, the Mexican Independence Day, the real Mexican Independence Day.
Right, correct.
The celebrations were in full swing, and Luis Jr. was closing up his shop when in walked in the final customer of the evening. He was telling him, hey, we're going to be closing soon, but please, whatever you need, grab it, and we can leave. The celebrations are happening. And he didn't really pay attention to who this guy was until he got to the cash register. Could you take a random guess as to who this person was?
Sama.
Sama came into his fucking shop.
All right.
Notifying his mom, Miriam flew over to the shop. She broke so many speeding what the hell's it called?
Laws.
Speeding laws.
Oh,
to
okay.
get over there. Now, it wasn't that far from her home, but it was a good enough distance to where she got there, and a 45-minute drive was done in about 25 minutes.
Oh, okay. So she was
Floating.
definitely hauling ass.
I don't think her wheels touched the ground.
Probably didn't.
Finally able to call the police and make an arrest because they still had that search warrant and bring him in for questioning. Now, what's even funnier about this whole part is also remember it's still 2014 and he still looks young. So he's probably 17, maybe 18 at this time. And the whole time, like a kid who gets in trouble, no, stop. He's screaming at the top of his lungs, please don't take me in. Don't take me in. Like a child. He even goes as far as saying that he has a heart condition. So to please keep it easy on him.
Wow. Okay. So he's not very tough.
No, he's a little baby.
Yeah.
During the interrogation of the police department, Miriam was able to actually sit outside of the room. Now, here's another crazy part. she was able to find out Sama's real name, which it wasn't Sama. Sama was just his nickname, but everyone called him Sama as his real name. His real name was Christian Jose Zapata Gonzalez.
Jeez.
And guess what he did? He dropped dimes on everybody. He gave them names. He gave them dates. He gave them fucking eye color. He gave them penis length. I don't know, but he told them everything.
A rat on a rat.
A rat on a rat. He gave baby mamas side pieces. Nobody was safe. Nobody was safe. And this guy's supposed to be the fucking leader. You know, he's supposed
He's
to be
still
the
a
one,
kid. He ain't that mature.
the top dog.
Yeah, well,
Now, during this whole interrogation, which took all of 4 hours, he mentioned that he was hungry. Now, besides all the crazy shit that she was able to do, dye her hair, get a work uniform, everything, all of that, at the very core of who she is, Miriam was still a mom.
sure.
So when she heard him say, "I'm hungry, can I please have something to eat?" the mother in her came out. She went and actually got him food. She got the kidnapper, the guy who started all of this, food and fed him.
That's a mom.
She said, "I'm still a mother. I felt like I needed to help him, and he is still a child."
Very
That's
true.
fucking crazy. I never in a million years would even have thought to do something like that.
And let's hope it never happens.
I hope fucking yeah, no. Eventually, Miriam was taken to the mass grave that I'd mentioned earlier by Sama. While looking for Karen, Miriam was able to find a scarf that belonged
Belong to Karen.
to Karen. The surrounding areas had debris scattered everywhere, as well as skeletons. So it's safe to say, unfortunately, that Karen was somewhere within that debris and was probably one of those skeletons. They were able to find a bone that was actually wrapped up next to one of the scarves that was Karen's scarf. Officials determined that the bone was not Karen's DNA. It wasn't until a year later in 2015, after Miriam was persistent of asking, "Is this my daughter's bone?" they did further digging to find out that the bone was Karen's.
So out of all that bones, they found something that matched, or they were just telling her that.
One femur.
So is the rest still in the mass grave? I mean, there's still
They
beat
think
bodies in there.
No, they think that animals came and kind of picked up the rest. Because there was skeleton bones, but there wasn't. It's not like a whole skeleton was intact. They were just scattered.
Yeah, but there was enough of an exposed. So obviously they didn't bury her too deep.
No. Oh, and of course not. For a mass grave. They're not burying people 6 feet. It's not a 6 foot by 18 foot hole that they're digging. They're just going to dig as far as they can before they get tired and just shove people in it.
Wow. Okay.
In the end, Miriam was able to disguise herself as a churchgoer for another member of this cartel. Now, why would she dress herself as a churchgoer? Well, because after this whole incident, one of the members found God. And he was
Okay.
the preacher of a church. In the middle of him preaching, she was able to call the police and say, "I found another member of the cartel. He's at this church. You need to come and get him now." Police showed up, arrested the preacher, and one parishioner asked Miriam to have pity as the police literally carried the pastor preacher out of the church. When Miriam looked at the woman who asked that question, she said, "Where was his compassion when they killed my daughter?" Basically like a big fuck you. This guy's going to prison.
Sure.
Another person who was captured by Miriam was a gentleman who was unnamed, but he was named in the article as a florist. Right? Is that what they're? Florist? Sells flowers?
Florist. Sunflowers. Yeah.
So he is working at the border. Now, you and I have been to the Mexico border many a times. There are several people who are walking up and down these lanes, selling flowers, selling toys, selling whatever, just to make ends meet, right?
Street vendors. Yeah.
So that's what he ends up going back to.
Right.
She was actually going back to her job, her live-in nanny job in Texas, when lo and behold, someone who she found in one of those Facebook posts was selling flowers. Called up the phone, and the dude recognized her. She's 56 at this time. Dude drops all of his shit and books it towards the border. She gets out of her car and is chasing him on foot. Mind you, she's like 5'2" and going just running all the way down. That's all you hear is a little. She looks like Mario running. Doing. She is able to actually catch him because he ends up tripping, running on the street and onto the curb. He trips and she catches him. She reaches in her purse and pulls out a .45 Smith & Wesson.
Damn, right on,
And
Grandma.
she says, she tells him, "Do not move, or you will not live to see the next hour." When I read that, I'm getting chills right now. I'm like, God damn, dude, this grandma is fucking hard. I would not want her to be my grandma. She probably whooped my ass for some stupid shit that I've probably done.
Yeah, she definitely wouldn't forget.
No, hell no. She was actually able to hold him there for an hour and a half. Can you imagine not moving with a gun to you while someone's telling you, if you move, I will fucking shoot you, for an hour and a half? I have to pee. I have diabetes. Okay. When my blood sugar goes high, I have to pee a lot sometimes. Okay. I can only imagine. I'd probably piss myself. I probably would.
Oh, I'm sure he lost
His bowels.
at some point.
Eventually, the cops did come and arrest him, and he was put in jail. And like
Why'd
I
they
said,
take so long? Why'd they take an hour and a half?
I don't know. They're at the border, but again, this is based off the article that I read in the New York Post.
Okay.
They were able to finally apprehend this gentleman, and he's still known as the florist. So the florist was taken to jail, and she was going home. The people in the San Fernando thought Miriam was going too far by challenging the cartel. She was even quoted saying, I don't really care if they kill me. I died the day that they killed my daughter. I want this to end. I'm going to take out as many people who hurt my daughter, and they can do whatever they want to me."
She's still doing this?
On March 10th, 2017, on Mother's Day, March 9th, Mother's Day, 12 prisoners, 10 of which who she was able to put in jail, escaped from a prison in Ciudad Victoria. That's still 2 hours away. 12 people escaped from that prison. Now, Miriam had known about this, and she even asked for help from your local police department, because it was a big issue. If someone breaks out of jail, I don't care where you're at, they're going to put it out. And she knows who they are, where they were, and who they're probably going to be coming for. But periodic patrols were given as far as her protection.
Right.
No law enforcement was actually waiting outside of her house, walking with her. Nobody was there. After all of this, and the 12 prisoners escaped, at 10 p.m. that night, while walking into her home, keep in mind, when she ran to go catch that guy, she actually broke her foot.
Ooh.
So her foot's broken. She's in one of those, those boots. So
Walking boots, yeah.
she's taking her time to get back home. And as she's coming home, her husband, Louis Sr., hears around 30 shots just fired. When he came outside, he found Miriam face down.
Jesus.
Now, around 30 shots were shot, but she was only hit 13 times, which makes me wonder, how fucking terrible of a shot are you guys? That's 12
Very.
people. 12 people, and that's one bullet of every person.
All 12 of them didn't go after her. They just probably had one person to do it, right?
Well, in the story, it says 12.
12 guys went to hunt this lady down, and they only hit her 13 times.
13 times.
It only takes one, but yeah. Are they
Terrible
blind
shots.
too?
I think so. I think they shot like this.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, they pulled up in a white van, and multiple men got out of the van and shot at her. When Luis came over to check on Miriam to see if she was okay, obviously, doesn't matter how many times you've been shot, but if you've been shot enough times, there's a significant amount of blood that comes out. He was able to move her, and when he moved her and flipped her over, her hand was still clutching her gun.
Oh, she was about to return fire.
Oh yes. She heard them get out, and she turned. She was facing towards the street. She wasn't facing towards the door. She heard them pull up, and she turned, reached in her purse, and then they fired.
It's one badass grandma.
Badass grandma. But that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the story of Miriam Rodriguez.
And this is how did you come across this article? Just
TikTok, actually.
Really?
TikTok. I was scrolling through TikTok, and out of nowhere, it was like, we've all seen the movie Taken with Liam Neeson and da-da-da-da. I was like, okay, where's this going? But did you know about Miriam Rodriguez? And I'm like, oh, this is a Mexican woman? Go on. And sure enough, I was definitely intrigued, and I found it, and I'm like, holy shit, there's no way this is real. And after a while, I was pulling up news article. I'm like, dude, no freaking way. I mean, she's such a badass that even when another person who was kidnapped, I believe his name was Luis, which is years later, very similar to Karen, her son, Luis Jr., took over her business, so to speak, to help find this other kid. The only difference is he's a bit of a pussy and didn't want to face them, like a badass. And he even says in this article, he's like, listen, the way that my mom did things was amazing, and she inspired so many people. I'm not that guy. I'm going to go buy the book as much as possible. I want to come out of this walking on my own 2 feet. And so there's another story that's associated with this one. But yeah, Luis is now able to kind of be Miriam in her whole little
so is he a bounty hunter
program.
or is he like an activist
activist is more like it.
Yeah. So like a John Walsh.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that is the story of Miriam Rodriguez.
They don't have a movie or something after it.
So as of January 1st, 2021, this year, Blumhouse has acquired the rights of the New York Times story to make a movie about the mother who tracked down her daughter's killers over these years. And according to what this article says, the story is going to be called The Story of Justice.
Blumhouse. Okay. Well, you know what Blumhouse puts out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah. Blumhouse gets it. This is going to be a brutal movie. and it's gonna be good. I hope they get someone good. If they get Sofia Vergara, I'm gonna be a little upset though.
Yeah,
Ooh,
they have to.
they gotta get
Ooh.
Salma Hayek. Oh my god,
They can't though. It can't. She can't be pretty though. She
she's
has to
older.
be Alice Braga
Alice Braga. I'm gonna look that up.
from Legend, or she is now Queen of the South.
Oh yeah, you know she's Brazilian though, right?
Yeah, she's Brazilian. Mhm.
But yeah, she'd be really good. She just looks a little younger to be 56, but I mean, if they can,
Well, I
they can
mean,
age her.
she was in Predator. She was in Predators. She
Yeah,
was a sniper in Predators,
yeah.
and she was in I Am Legend. She's Queen of the South, and
Mhm.
she's been in a lot of movies. But good story. I hope they do it justice.
Me too. I mean, it's called a
Yeah.
story of justice. They better do it justice.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't. Mm. I'm just intrigued now. I'm surprised. I'm glad you told me because I'll be looking forward to it.
Me too. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, happy Cinco de Mayo. Mayo.
But the mayonnaise,
De mayonnaise.
or commercially known as Cinco De Drinko.
Yeah. Enjoy all your margaritas and tequilas. And thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to leave a comment, leave a like. Please go over to our Flow page, flow.page/BTWBJ. There you will find all of our links to the Instagram, to the Twitter, to the TikTok, to the. I don't think I've added the Facebook group yet, but I will be putting that up there. There you can also buy us a beer. If you buy us a beer, we will shout you out on the very next episode. So, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And hope to see you on our 50th.
Oh, yeah.
Peace. Adios.
Mexican word for bye. Adios, duh.